Welcome to Holiday Lighting 101. Now, before we introduce the experts on light set repair, we need to spend a few minutes reviewing some basic lighting principles. So consider this a prerequisite to how to fix a light set. That'll be Holiday Lighting 102. Having a good understanding of these basics will help you to better follow what Brian, Ken, and John will be showing you later. Light set failures can be frustrating, time-consuming, and expensive. Whether it be repairing a $50 yard decoration or a $300 pre-lit tree, knowledge of light set repair is something you need to have. Besides saving you time and money, this knowledge can make you a lighting pro. And what you are about to see is a step-by-step explanation of how to fix a light set, followed by actual repair tips covering some of the most popular lighting items. You know, the Christmas lights are over 100 years old, and they're an integral part of our holiday traditions. Could you imagine a Christmas without lights? Now, before we get into a discussion on the various forms of holiday light sets, let me give you a brief explanation of how these sets are constructed and how the electricity flows through them, or in the case of a failed set, why it doesn't. There are two ways light set circuitry can be constructed: parallel or series. Now, in a parallel circuit, an equal amount of current is delivered to each bulb, similar to the wiring in your house where you get exactly the same amount of voltage at each switch or outlet. Now, in a series circuit, the current must pass through each bulb and return to the source. And if one of those bulbs fail, the circuit is broken and bingo, the rest of the lights go out. Many of the larger light sets are actually a combination of the parallel and series design, basically having two or maybe three series circuits connected in parallel. And that's why you'll have, well, let's say a middle section going out while the rest of the string stays lit. You got that? Well, good. Well, let's move on. Holiday light sets fall into four basic categories. Now, rope lights or tube lights were introduced just in the last several years for holiday use. And as you can see, the bulbs are encased in a colored plastic flexible tubing, and they're not removable. In rope lights, when one bulb fails, an entire section may not light. It's important to note, rope lights are not designed to be repairable. Now, LED light sets create another style or look, but due to their advanced design, LED lights are pretty expensive. C7 and C9 sets are the traditional larger size light sets. And when you unscrew a bulb, it has no impact on the operation of the rest of the light set, because these are manufactured in parallel construction. Remember? Equal voltage going directly to each bulb independently. Now, miniature light sets are the most popular and economical light sets used during the holidays. Why, you see them everywhere, up and down the streets, in your town, in commercial displays, and of course, in and on homes all over the country. Well, they're used as individual light sets and as part of other holiday decor such as pre-lit trees. Well, they're so widely used that it only makes sense that we need to have a good understanding of how to quickly and easily bring these things back to life if they fail. And since they're used on pre-lit trees, yard decorations, hanging icicle lights, and net lights, you need to have a way to get at them without having to remove them or take them down. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Miniature light sets are constructed in series construction. And as we said before, the series construction requires the current to reach and flow through each bulb in the section before it can go to the next bulb so that they will all light. The majority of our education and repair efforts today will be targeted to the miniature light sets. Another thing you need to keep in mind about these miniature sets is that in order to produce them economically and in high volume, there is an inherent weakness in the design. Well, more about that later. So let's take a look at miniature light set construction. Miniature light sets use 120 volts. The voltage travels through the light set wires, the bulbs, and returns, completing the circuit. Any break or interruption in the flow of current through the wires or bulbs is going to cause the light set to fail. You got to think of a solid metal to metal path through the light set that creates this circuit. For example, the bulb wires not making a firm contact with the brass contacts in the bulb socket is enough to cause a current interruption and a light set failure. A plumbing analogy often helps to put the problem in perspective. The pipeline is open and flowing as long as there are no blockages. A missing bulb, twisted wires, or anything else that interrupts the current is the blockage that causes the current flow to stop. And the blockage needs to be repaired for the light set to work. Now let's talk about multiple section light sets. Let's look a little closer at why half or a third of a light set didn't operate. Now this goes back to the parallel series design I mentioned earlier. The basic miniature light set is manufactured in series construction with an average of 120 volts traveling to each section. A 50 light set with 2.5 volt bulbs uses approximately 120 volts. A 100 light set is actually two 50 light sets wired together but operating independently, each section getting the full 120 volts. A 150 light set is actually three 50 light sets wired together but operating independently. Once again, each section getting the full 120 volts via the parallel design. And that gets split up as it travels through each 50 bulb section. That's why you have so many wires in these long sets. Some are just carrying the parallel circuit individually to each section, and some form the series circuit in those sections. If you remove one bulb from any section of a 100 light set, you have interrupted the series of 50 bulbs in that one section only. In some cases, the manufacturer may use 35 lights or multiples thereof. A 35 light set uses 3.5 volt bulbs. A 70 light set is actually two 35 light sets wired together operating independently. A 140 light set is actually four 35 light sets wired together independently. This is why it's so important to replace bulbs with the correct voltage bulbs. If you put a lower rated bulb in a higher rated set, it's going to blow out. If you put a higher rated voltage bulb in a lower rated set, it will look dim and brown compared to the others. To further illustrate how light sets constructed in series use 120 volts, let's look at some examples. A 20 light set would use a 6 volt bulb. 20 bulbs times 6 volts equals 120 volts. A 10 light set would use a 12 volt bulb. That's common in tree toppers. 10 bulbs times 12 volts equals 120 volts. See, and you thought you wouldn't be using that high school math. Well, to complete your understanding of light set construction, you need to understand how a bulb works. Miniature bulbs work like the incandescent bulbs in your home. The first part of the bulb consists of a tungsten metal filament that glows within the glass envelope when heated. The current travels through the wires and through the filaments to complete the circuit needed to illuminate the set. Now keep in mind, bulbs don't last forever. A miniature light bulb has an average life expectancy of 2,000 hours. When the filament of a bulb burns out, it no longer acts as a conduit for the electricity and the light set may not function. And here's where that inherent design weakness comes in. It was really meant to keep the set glowing when one bulb fails. Miniature light sets with series construction are almost always designed with a feature that kicks in, allowing it to bypass the filament and take the current to the next bulb when a bulb burns out. It's called a shunt. It's a thin aluminum wire wrapped around the two copper posts supporting the filament, located just above the glass bead inside the bulb. Now there's an oxide coating that keeps the shunt from activating prematurely. But when the bulb fails, the current burns off the oxide coating and bypasses the bulb filament to complete the circuit and illuminate the balance of the set. In essence, the shunt is designed to complete the metal-to-metal connection necessary for the light set to work again. Now we have covered the basics of Lighting 101, and you have the foundation to continue our discussion of light set repair. So let me introduce you to the experts that will walk you through the repair of light sets. They have repaired tens of thousands of light sets dating back to 1989 when they manufactured their first pre-lit tree in Taiwan. They have experienced firsthand the potential problems that you may encounter, and they are well qualified to share what they have learned through the years. Meet the light keepers, John, Brian, and Ken.
Hello, I'm Brian Gleason, and this is John DeCosmo. Today we're going to begin by showing you the recommended tools needed for the repairs of lighting. You'll occasionally need a needle nose pliers, a narrow screwdriver, a flashlight, and electrical tape. We don't advocate the use of a buzz box. This is an archaic repair device that was first used on factory lines in the Far East many years ago, and there is a potential danger that exists through its use. It's not UL listed and simply not safe.
You'll always need the Lightkeeper Pro. There simply isn't a tool in the marketplace that comes close to it. It was invented by Mr. Rich Frederick. Rich has over 25 patents to his name and builds beautiful Christmas displays each year. Those displays have endured many light set failures, prompting his quest to create the best tool possible. The Lightkeeper Pro can repair light sets instantly, as we will later demonstrate. It currently has 5 U.S. patents, Asian and European patents with additional pending. It is UL listed, safe, and has revolutionized the ways of light set repair.
The Lightkeeper Pro's features include a quick fix trigger, a voltage detector, a bulb and fuse tester, a bulb puller, and storage in the handle. It also comes with 3 1.5 volt button cell batteries. The Lightkeeper Pro is available at finer merchants across the US and Canada. An international version for 220 volt light sets is also available. The causes of light set failure include an internal bulb failure, a loose, broken, or missing bulb, a poor connection within the bulb socket, a loose or blown fuse, a broken wire or plug, or a poor connection at the power source. The first step in light set repair is to evaluate the light set visually to check that all the bulbs are present, not broken, pushed in tight, and simply that the light set is plugged into an operational outlet. If you need to replace a bulb, do so as such. This bulb puller is simply the best there is in the market. Electricity is invisible, making the job tougher. With that said, we don't recommend community repair of a light set. That would mean more than one person working on a non-functioning light set at the same time. Ken repairs our pre-lit trees, and he will speak shortly. But he came up with a great term for harm that we do unknowingly to a non-working set. The term is self-inflicted wound. Use more care on a non-working set when returning the bulb to its socket. One problem can become many through negligence.
Please use caution with all electrical products. Constantly improving standards and field testing on the part of UL has resulted in better and safer products. Replace bulbs and fuses with those of the same rating and type. UL recommends that a maximum of 3 standard light sets are plugged together end-to-end, and a maximum of 6 commercial grade sets are plugged together end-to-end. Conduct all of your repairs in a safe manner, consulting with an electrician for any issues that have left you uncertain of what to do. It is highly recommended that you use a ground fault circuit interrupter or GFCI for your outdoor displays. And keep any real trees constantly watered to reduce the possibility of fire hazard. The most common problem in light set failure is when a single bulb filament fails to work and the shunt within the bulb does not properly activate. The result is an open circuit at that point. The continuous metal-to-metal path has been interrupted, halting the flow of power. It's the combination of a broken filament and subsequent shunt failure that causes a set to fail. There's no way for a factory to pre-test shunts. The entire section of that light set will not illuminate. We'll demonstrate how to activate that shunt through the use of the Lightkeeper Pro. Once that shunt is activated and the light set is working, that bulb needs to be replaced.
The first step, remove any single easy-to-reach light bulb from the non-working section and insert our socket connector. Make certain that there is no debris in your way, including tinsel garland. Pull the quick fix trigger, sending pulses of energy into the light set. It's imperative that the metal of the Lightkeeper Pro make firm contact with the metals of the bulb socket. Pull the trigger until the set illuminates. It may take 20 pulls of the trigger. Your repair is almost complete. Remove the socket connector and replace the socket with the bulb that you've previously removed. If you repaired the set, you did so by breaking through the shunt's insulated oxide coating. Current now flows through the bulb. This shunt is currently acting as a bypass device and re-established electrical continuity. You can see that our set works now, and this bulb needs to be replaced. On the rare occasion that a set goes out, right after being repaired, you will need to repeat the pulsing process to complete the repair. The weld may not have taken the first time. With almost every repair, the fix is permanent. Be sure to replace this unlit bulb, because it was likely the cause of your trouble, and also replace any other unlit bulbs. If the set should illuminate when you first insert the socket connector into the non-working set, you happen to be lucky. In this case, you've chosen the one bulb that had caused the trouble. Replace that bulb. For internal bulb failure, it's as simple as plug, click, fix.
For an additional measure of safety, this entire process could be done with the lights unplugged. First, identify the section of the light set not working. Unplug the light set and then remove one of the previously unlit bulbs. With the bulb removed and the bulb socket inspected for good contacts, insert the Lightkeeper Pro's socket connector into the bulb socket and pull the trigger 20 times. Now, replace the bulb and then plug your light set back into the outlet. We're often asked how the quick fix trigger works. The answer is through the use of a piezo. A piezo is a mechanical, spring-activated device. It generates its own energy and operates without batteries. The Lightkeeper's piezo sends the pulse of energy into the light set with each click. It has other applications, such as being used in lighters. You cannot harm the light set by pulling the trigger too many times. The pulse that was just sent through the light set works like the cleaning of a clogged pipe. Only when it reaches an obstruction, the pulse clears it and the current will flow smoothly again. If you've clicked 20 times and not repaired the set, it's time to use our alternate methods.
If you are unable to repair the light set using our quick fix trigger, use our audible voltage detector to identify the point at which the circuit is broken and the voltage has been interrupted. Our voltage detector is specifically designed for non-working holiday lights and all the various conditions that exist, including the heat of Hawaii and the cold of Alaska. The voltage detector is not designed to beep when held close to a fully illuminated set. Current enters one wire of the light set and exits through the second wire, creating a complete circuit. With the light set plugged into the power source, check the first bulb of the non-working light set by holding the tip of the Lightkeeper Pro against the glass of the bulb at the point where it meets the plastic. The tip contains an antenna wire to detect the voltage. Varying the angle of the tip and positioning can help increase the signal. The beeping tone at the first bulb closest to the plug indicates the presence of 120 volts. Power is then traveling toward the back of the light set. If you hear no beeping, reverse the polarity of the plug, thus changing the direction of the current flow. Now scan ahead to each non-working bulb, listening for a bulb that no longer beeps. You can jump ahead by testing, for example, each 10th bulb, then working backwards when you reach a non-functional bulb. When you reach the first bulb that doesn't beep, you're in the vicinity of the interruption.
Now we switch our methodology to a wire scan to complete the repair of this light set. Notice that a scanning is accomplished by first determining the proper distance to hold the detector from the wire. Scanning at a distance too close to the wires can give you false readings. In this case, we clearly start beeping at 1/2 inch from the wire. Once that's established, continue your scan to the point of interruption. Notice, as we pull the wires away from the set, you can identify the wire that has current flowing through it and the one that does not. Reverse the polarity and we get opposite results. Notice the effect of holding your hand too close to the area that you are measuring voltage in. Watch this wire. We know that it had voltage in it, yet my hand serves to dampen the field, causing erroneous results. Your hand can clearly interfere with voltage detection. Remove the bulb and test it in our bulb tester. If it does not illuminate, replace it with the extra bulbs that come with your light set. If it does illuminate, make certain that the wires of the bulb are centered and make firm contact with the brass contacts within the lamp socket. Sometimes the brass contacts inside the bulb socket are not in place. There are occasions whereby one has slipped down or is bent over. It was likely made this way in error and was always making minimal contact. To repair this, we must unplug the product. We use our needle nose pliers and push the wire and contact up and place the brass contact back into the molded channel using our narrow screwdriver. A nail can readily repair a bent brass contact. Always unplug electrical products prior to their repair. Remember to return the light bulb to its socket. If it still does not illuminate, use the voltage detector to further assess the set. A user can unintentionally cause additional problems for a light set unknowingly, usually by not replacing bulbs properly. On occasion, a light set has more than one point of interruption. This necessitates a repeating of the voltage detection process to discover the next point of voltage interruption. This is a great time to speak about a related concept. Some light sets blink on and off. When it's rapid, your light set likely has a flasher bulb installed. This bulb can be identified by its red tip. However, some light sets simply blink on and off repeatedly, for example in 5-minute increments. The source of that blinking is normally traced to a poor connection within one lamp socket. It's very important to note that you can only conduct an effective repair of this light set when the set is in the blinking off mode. The unlit set must remain plugged in. It is only then that our voltage detector can locate the source of the interruption. The blinking is basically due to expansion and contraction within the errant socket.
Fuse troubles are extremely rare and normally occur only in a light set that has been connected end to end. Too often, the fuses are checked and replaced unnecessarily. The easiest way to rule out a fuse problem on an end-to-end set is to plug another light set into the female connector of the light set that is out. If it works, that set does not have a fuse problem. If the fuses did blow, please understand that this is indicative of an issue to correct. It normally indicates that you have overloaded the circuit, meaning that too much power is being placed through the sets. The fuses that come with each light set are a great safety device. Standard light sets normally use 3 amp fuses, and commercial grade light sets use 5 amp fuses. Should you need to test a fuse, the Lightkeeper Pro comes equipped with a built-in fuse tester. Another fuse problem relates to extension cords. Too many light sets plugged into an extension cord would cause failure. Quite often, a spare fuse is placed within the fuse holder of the male plug. Fuses also keep us safe from the short circuits that may occur. Remember, fuses are there for your safety.
Burned out bulbs on a working light set should always be replaced. Each non-working bulb shortens the life of the light set. A non-illuminated bulb draws no voltage. Therefore, the 120 volts in the series is spread across the other functional bulbs. This causes the lit bulbs to burn hotter. As a point of reference, 2 non-functional bulbs reduce the life of a 50 light set by 39%. 4 non-functional bulbs reduce the remaining life of a 50 light set by 63%. Failure to replace burned out bulbs will result in the eventual cascade burnout of the entire set. This begins with the remaining bulbs burning substantially brighter, followed by total failure. Signs of a well-aged light set are excessive amounts of black residual deposited on the inside of the glass. This is a great way for you to know if the product you are working on is used up. If a tree or other product that has been given to you for repair has several burned out sets and non-working bulbs within the working sets, you've got a product at the end of its useful life. The only way to repair a light set that is burned out like this is to replace every bulb in the set or buy a new set. Failure to replace every bulb will result in the repeated failure of that set as another aged bulb fails.
At this point, we're going to share some tips to help you repair specific items. Assuming you have used the quick fix trigger and pulsed the set without success, use the second repair method, the audible voltage detector, to find the problem. The key to success is to scan the top wire of the Icicle light set to find the strand with the problem. First, confirm you have current to the first non-working bulb. If no power is detected, reverse the plug in the outlet. Reversing the polarity makes it easier to scan from the front to the back of the light set. Now, set your scanning distance on the top wire, usually 1/2 inch, and scan the main top wire over the non-working section of the Icicle light set. The strand between where you hear a beeping tone on one side and silence on the other is the Icicle light strand with the problem. Secondly, with the problem strand identified, check each bulb in the bulb tester. Be sure to inspect both wires of the bulb being replaced to be sure they are centered. It is important to make a solid connection when inserting the bulb into the bulb socket. To aid that, inspect the socket when replacing the bulb to verify that the metal contacts are in proper alignment.
Net lights are one of the most challenging to visualize the source of the problem because of the grid pattern. The different designs have their own wire sequences. Remember, this is the same electrical construction as a multiple section light set, one plug providing current to several sections. For example, a 150 net light would be 350 light sections operating independently. The quick fix trigger would again be the first repair method to use. If you are still having problems, the audible voltage detector would be the alternate method to use. Be on the alert for thicker or larger bulb sockets at the first and last bulb of each section within the net light. These larger sockets have 3 wires connected to them as compared to 2 wires for the other sockets. Reminder, you need to set your scanning distance properly above the wires. Scanning at a distance too close to the wires can give you false readings. Begin your scan with the voltage detector at the first non-working bulb, usually a larger socket, and scan along the wires towards the inside of the grid of the unlit section. Be sure to hold the scanning distance above the wires. Listen for the point where one side of the bulb gives a beeping tone, identifying current, and silence on the other side, no current. This is the problem bulb or socket. A unique net light design that you should be aware of when you are scanning is one that uses non-current carrying wires. These wires are to give support only. The light set wires carrying the current are identified with a fine stamping indicating the specifications and UL certification. There are no markings on the support wires. This wire should not give you a beeping tone when using the voltage detector. Notice the support wire here as opposed to the electrical wire. This is important to remember if you are having problems detecting current. Another version of net lights are called ribbon lights or tree wrap. The set we are looking at is done in different colors woven through the grids like a ribbon and is a multicolored set with flashers. In this example, all the blue bulbs are out and this represents one light set. This would be the pattern you would follow when you scan.
It's important to remember the metal of a yard decoration can give you false readings when you scan with the voltage detector. The metal picks up and magnifies the electrical signal being detected. This magnification of the current is sometimes transferred from the metal to the wires of a light set. The light set does not need to be plugged into the current for this to happen. Solution? Grip your hand 6 to 8 inches around the metal prior to where you're scanning. You will act as a ground, absorbing the false readings. Remember not to place your hand too close, as you will become too much of a ground. Final tip on metal decorations: if you know you are getting a lot of interference on a metal decoration, unplug the sets that are working and concentrate your efforts on the non-working light sets only. If you're repairing an animated decoration, unplug the motor to stabilize the unit and reduce the interference. This will make your job a lot easier.
Due to the design of some specialty items, the bulb sockets are either too large or not accessible to use our Lightkeeper Pro socket connector to repair defective bulbs. In these cases, we have an alternate repair method, a plug-in connector built into the Lightkeeper Pro. The plug-in connector feature is designed to work only if the non-working section has been isolated to receive the maximum pulse from the Lightkeeper Pro. The isolation is achieved by removing one bulb from each working section prior to plugging the light set into the Lightkeeper Pro. Failing to remove a bulb causes the pulse generated by the Lightkeeper Pro to travel to the working section of the light set, thus no repair. With no portion of the light set lit, insert the plug into the gun and pull the trigger up to 20 times. Each time you pull the trigger, you are sending a pulse into the light set to activate any shunts that have failed. Now, remove the light set plug from the Lightkeeper Pro and insert into an outlet to see if the original non-working section is lit. If it is lit, now replace any bulbs you removed and any individual bulbs that may need replacing. This maintains your decoration. If you still continue to have a problem using the Quick Fix trigger, use the audible voltage detector to find any loose bulbs or other problems that may have caused the power interruption. These pre-lit trees are fantastic. Next is Ken Pabst, our pre-lit tree technician, and he'll be providing you with some really great tips on tree repair.
The first recommendation is to use a bar of soap around the ends of the metal poles of the tree prior to assembly. The soap acts as a lubricant to make it easier to disassemble your tree at the end of the season. Secondly, plug in your tree and leave the lights on when you first shape the tree. If you see any flickering of your lights, you have discovered a problem located literally at your fingertips. It is much easier to catch and repair these problems now than after the tree is completely up and decorated. Keep in mind, on a pre-lit tree, there are two main problems. The most common problem is a bulb that has failed and the shunt has not activated to complete the circuit. The Lightkeeper Pro socket connector is the first repair method to use. Pulse the set up to 20 times, repairing any internal bulb failure. The second potential problem is a loose bulb or bad contact in the bulb socket. Use the audible voltage detector to find the problem. Keep in mind, as you look at your tree, one set may cover several branches. It depends on the size of your tree. Most pre-lit trees use light sets of 50 bulbs in series, each using 2.5 volt bulbs. It is important to point out that two different light sets may appear on the same branch with one ending and the other beginning. If one light set has a problem and the other does not, it's often misdiagnosed as a problem on that branch only. Your first goal is to identify which branch of the tree has the problem. Identify the branch where the unlit light set begins. Each branch will have a light set wire leading to the branch on one side and exiting on the other. Using the voltage detector to check the wires on either side of the unlit branches will help you narrow down the source of the problem. Go to the first branch, hold the tip of the Lightkeeper Pro to the wire on the right side of the branch to detect current. Repeat the process on the left side of the branch. If you hear a beeping from the voltage detector when testing the wires on both sides of the branch, this branch is not your problem. Now go to the next unlit branch and repeat, checking the wires for voltage. The branch where you detect voltage on one side of the branch and no beeping or voltage on the other side is the branch where the problem is located. With your free hand touching the branch you are testing, you will reduce any electrical interference caused by the other light sets. With the problem narrowed down to a specific branch, you need to check the bulbs on this branch. Check each bulb in the bulb tester. As you replace bulbs in the socket, it is important that the bulb wires are straight and firmly touch the metal contacts in the bulb socket. Remember, any bulb wire not making a firm contact breaks the metal-to-metal path and the circuit. These trees offer a great look and are a terrific time saver. A little care and upkeep will go a long way towards the continued enjoyment of your pre-lit tree.
There are some light sets used on pre-lit trees that have bulb sockets designed to keep the circuit open in case a bulb falls out. The light sets have a spring built into the bulb socket that closes in the absence of a bulb. To accomplish this, there is one non-replaceable fused lamp with no shunt in each section of the light set. This is a safety precaution. The balance of the bulbs used are standard replaceable 2.5 or 3.5 volt bulbs. This is important to mention because you can repair or replace 49 of the 50 bulbs in a 50 light set if they fail, but not the fused bulb. If the source of your problem is the first fused bulb in a section, this section cannot be repaired.
We took a 20 light set apart to review some important concepts here. First, a reminder of how the polarity works. When I have trouble at this bulb socket, I have beeping on one side and none on the other. When I reverse the plug in the outlet, my results are opposite. Secondly, many sets are shipped today with this loop line construction and a dummy wire that has a cord inside instead of copper. These are made this way to keep costs down, and these dummy wires look like real wires. However, as Brian told you earlier, they lack the white markings on the side. They're there to provide additional strength. Finally, an open 20 light set as such begins to look normal as we simply twist it, and we want you to understand that light set construction is basically this simple. A third wire would come out of the plug and run to an end connector at the other end if it were an end connector set.
We receive inquiries through our website and phone calls to our service center. We learn substantially through these comments. A question often asked is, why do my light sets work at the end of the year and don't work during the next year? Light sets are often charged substantially. The light set failure can be caused by your own actions. A filament can break at that moment. Should the shunt not function when you plug it in later, internal bulb failure will have occurred by your own actions. Be gentle with your lights. It's important that light sets are packed away properly. Here are some pieces of cardboard that we use as a storage device. Be certain that the light sets are clean of debris and stored in a warm and dry area for their protection. Another potential problem is the AC plug of the light set. The plug can go bad. If your light set plug needs to be replaced and you are unskilled in this area, contact an electrician. We hope to have dispelled some of the myths and provided you with information that will make your light set repair more efficient and more successful. The popular industry statement is that when one bulb burns out, the rest stay lit. The truth of the matter is that this is factual, only if the shunt of that bulb activates properly. That just doesn't always happen, thus a failed light set. Yet the simple tips provided today enable you to be a lighting repair professional.
We really want to share our appreciation for your viewing of this presentation. We're proud to share the knowledge that was gathered through the wisdom of some really intelligent engineers combined with our in-the-field experiences. Please understand that true fail-proof light sets do exist. The additional circuitry is expensive, making them less popular than conventional light sets. We're never going to say to you that light set repair is simple. It simply is made easier through the techniques presented, coupled with your own insights. Remain confident that we stand behind you and can be reached at the phone number shown on the screen. Our website, www.lightkeeperpro.com, is a tremendous assistant. Thank you.
Thank you for watching.